Welcome to the Whole Enchilada, a community of high achievers that fight the status quo, rebel against mediocrity, and make life happen. Let's go.
Hey, Enchilada Nation, excited for you to be here today. And this is a several-part series talking about how to increase the return on investment on your current investment portfolio. Right now, as you know, interest rates are going up. A lot of people are asking me, where are the deals to be had right now? And there are deals to be had right now. I am currently chasing those deals. But the other side of the question is are you currently being a great steward of the investments that you currently have in your portfolio? And this is a great time for you to sit back and look at and analyze, am I getting the most return that I can possibly get on the investment I already have in my portfolio? That is being a great steward of your investment. So stay tuned for this series of how to increase the rate of return on your current investments. Hey everybody, thanks for coming back to the Savvy Investor to join us on this continued conversation around how to increase the return on investment for your current investment portfolio. If you've participated in all of the series so far, you've learned specific strategies on how to increase the return on your current investment, which the strategy on this is kind of twofold. I believe as investors, as savvy investors, it's our responsibility to be great stewards over the assets or the money we've already invested. And part of that is reviewing and looking at, am I getting the max rate of return on this money that I've outlaid already? And then also the things we've talked about are things you could be taking into consideration as you look at that next investment opportunity. So back with me today is my good friend and partner, Asia. Asia, thanks for being back.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. So today we're going to talk about upgrading your property manager. This is, I think with a lot of investors, this is kind of one of those things that people initially think they're going to self-manage or that all property managers are created equally. And that's just not the case, right? We know the downfalls, particularly right now with self-management, is we kind of call them, there's those professional tenants out there that have learned how to take advantage of landlords that are self-managing. Which puts the landlord at risk. And then we're going to talk through specifically around what sets a great property manager apart from mediocre or subpar property manager. Ready to jump in?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, let's do it. So Asia, let's have you talk first. For those of you that don't know, regardless of the market that you're investing in or have investment property in, a lot of you know that we invest in multiple cities and states. However, our property management company, Green Management Group, that Asia and I are partners in, is located in the Phoenix Valley in Arizona. And we'd love to take care of any of you in that marketplace. But these are thoughts and questions you should be looking at in any market you're at. So Asia, walk us through a little bit about what sets us apart fundamentally from how we approach property management versus the standard property management company.
Yeah, so I think really our foundation is much different than a lot of the management companies I come in contact with. We approach it very much from an investor mentality. Obviously you have multiple ventures. I invest myself. So I do think we have more of a vested interest. We know the serious risks that come along and the money that's associated with that. So I definitely think that foundation sets us apart right there off the bat.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, several years ago, way before Asia and I even got in business together, and I was acquiring properties as fast as I could in Phoenix as the market had shifted. I had no intention of starting a property management company at that time, but as I interviewed dozens of property management companies, my frustration was the majority of them basically described their job as a property manager as like, oh, well, we get a tenant in there, they send us a check, we take our portion, we send you the rest. Obviously they try to flower it up a little bit more than that, but in the end, these guys didn't own any investment property themselves, never had invested, and really they were in it for what's in it for them. And that bothered me as an investor is I looked at my property manager, or who I wanted to be a property manager, as a partner in the business with me that's going to protect my asset as if it's their own. So that's one of the things we talked about from the very beginning, is building our property management company from an investor mentality with the purpose of protecting your asset and reducing your risk.
Yeah.
Anything you can add to that?
Yeah, I think that was like one of the things when I first started with you that drew me to the company. You look at a lot of our competitors and I'm seeing, line item after line item of just miscellaneous fees, maintenance fees, things of that nature. I mean, I don't think our pitch could be more simple. We've got three set fees, nothing changes outside of, the normal things in the market. But I think the simpler, the better as it pertains to that.
100%. That great segue. That leads us right in. We're gonna talk about three specific things. And there's lots of things that we could go into more detail on, but three specific things that you should be looking for and cautious of with your property manager. And Asia, you bring up the fee structure being one of them. So one of the things we've been talking about throughout this series is the importance of managing expenses for the property, and property management fee is an expense. Now, we've also talked about what the difference is between a fixed expense and a variable expense. A fixed expense is if you already know what that fee is, every single month you can count on it, as opposed to a variable expense, which could fluctuate and really dig in and eat away your profit, particularly when you don't have control over what drives the variability in that expense. And this is a place that property managers take advantage of investors over and over and over again, is this idea of the variable expense of print fees and statement fees and ACH fees and all these different things, where we keep our fee structure very simple. Our landlords and partners and investors can count on it, and they can build it into their pro forma so they can expect the ROI they plan for. So you talk about those set fees. What are those set fees that they should be expecting?
So from our standpoint, an initial lease up fee, that's going to be pretty standard marketing, tenant screening, things of that nature. We just combine that into one standard fee of $500 with our management team. On top of that, we have our monthly management fee, which is 10% of our gross monthly rent. That's an easy round number that everybody can calculate and, like you said, plan for. And then outside of that, the only other fees we charge are a one-time lease renewal fee if the tenant chooses to extend their lease agreement at the end. And along with that, we're also making sure that the owner is still getting the right value, market value for the property, which is crucial.
If there wasn't a lease up fee involved, how much effort and time are they going to put into choosing the right tenant? Which kind of leads us into the next piece of the puzzle, which is how vested is your property manager in selecting the right tenant, right?
Yeah.
So walk us through the importance of getting the right tenant in place.
Well, anyone who has been in real estate investment, unfortunately, we see a lot of negative tenant experiences where, as you said in the beginning, we've got tenants taking advantage of the system, what have you. So the screening process before that person even gets in the door is crucial. My team, and again, from that investor standpoint, if I wouldn't put them in one of my rentals, I'm not going to even present it to the homeowner to look at. So making sure that criteria is strict, consistent, and then going above and beyond outside of just looking at the reports. We do try to meet the tenants at the property when we show the property. We talk to prospective tenants' previous landlord. So just kind of taking that extra step to dig a little deeper than what's on the paperwork.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think it's really critical to have that really specific criteria and process you're going to take them through, because it's a lot of times you're listening for what happens in between the process, right? How easy are they is it for them to put together their documentation?
Exactly.
Asking them questions that aren't specifically like, it's not a question like, were you a bad tenant before, but what's causing you to move? If they're like, oh, well, we have to be out by Friday. That's a red flag for us to understand, like, well, why do you have to be out by Friday, right?
Right.
And checking into a lot of these things. So it is a process to make sure you get the right person. And part of this is starts before the tenant selection even starts. It's marketing to get enough activity that you get the right and ability to be selective in that tenant, right?
Exactly.
Where I think a lot of people just take the first warm body, check their pulse, and make sure they can cover the move-in fees, and then they hope it works out, which is the completely wrong approach, because the cost of a bad tenant, both in time chasing late rent, late fees, and damage to the property, eviction process is significant. And one bad tenant choice could actually dig into multiple years of profit, not just the profit for that year, if that makes sense.
Exactly. It's exponential.
And then I know, Adrian, one of the things that's really important to you and you're passionate about with your team is not only the tenant selection and getting the right tenant in place, but also maintaining a great tenant relationship throughout the process. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think, that's something that you're, like you said, I'm very passionate about it, because I have listened to tenant experiences, negative experiences with previous property management companies. And you see now there are a lot of tenants screening the management company as well. Um, and I just believe that we can preserve a tenancy for longer, eliminate vacancies on the owner's part if we maintain a good relationship. Obviously, we want it to be professional so they know the expectations. But I think that's where my team kind of stands apart is we educate our tenants on the process of what our expectations are right when they walk in the door. So yeah, that's something we really strive for.
Yeah, this is something that you've done particularly phenomenally well, I think, because it is a balance. Is a property manager can actually be too friendly with their tenant and then start putting their tenant's needs and wants, who they're talking to on a regular basis, in front of the landlords, right? So it is, we set the standard and expectation up front that we are a representative of the landlord, of the investor, and we're going to show up as such. But that does not mean we have to be in conflict, right? As long as we just as you said, as long as we're clear with the expectations of how we win together, more often than not, the tenant steps up to the expectations and wins with us. And then it creates a very easy conversation for us when it's time for a rent increase or a renewal, or helping them understand that a potential maintenance issue that came up on the property is partially at their expense based on this or that. If we've done a great job of setting those expectations and building the relationship, those conversations go much smoother in helping us better protect the investor, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I love that. So let's move into, that kind of leads into the third and final point that I think is really important for us to talk about in regards to making sure you're in business with the right property manager, which is how maintenance expenses and the whole maintenance process of a property and work orders is handled. Kind of walk us through your thoughts on that.
So though we try to stay on top of our work orders and all of those good things, my ultimate goal is to make sure that we are doing as much preventative maintenance as we possibly can. So the systems that are always known to fail, for example, HVAC systems, preseason tune-ups, things like that, making sure that we are staying on top of potential issues. Each time my team steps into a property for an inspection, they've got a checklist of things that they're looking for. So if we notice, hey, tenant reported XYZ on the stove, sounds like it's something we may want to be aware of and look out for. Just trying to stay on top of things rather than fire chasing.
Yeah, and I believe this actually saves our investor clients and ourselves a lot of money on our own properties, is just that preventive maintenance, that keeping your eye on things. And one of the things that has been really important for us is vetting our vendors prior, making sure that we have the right plumber, the right painter. So if we're sending a plumber in to look at a garbage disposal, we've trained them beforehand to identify, well, what caused the issue. If the tenant dumped a bunch of rice down the garbage disposal the night before, that isn't a faulty garbage disposal, that's a tenant caused issue. They're going to document it and let us know. They're still going to fix the problem, but then the way we've written our lease is the tenant is responsible for that. But the thing I love about how we've trained our vendors as well is that plumber, even though he's not a trained HVAC or anything else, but if he's walking into the house to fix the garbage disposal and he sees a motorcycle in the front room and they're building a motorcycle in the front room, he's not going to walk by and laugh at it and go fix the garbage disposal. He's going to let us know, like, hey, you got a deeper problem here. You probably got to get out of the house. So we've constantly, through our vendors in this maintenance experience, have constant eyes and ears on the property as well, which is a big deal to have the right vendors.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback off of that, along with our tenants, we set that precedence for our vendors as well. Anybody who works with us signs a vendor agreement outlining their responsibilities and our expectations, for working with our team. So.
Yeah, and then it's really important. A lot of times, I know we want to get the most competitive price on any repair on our property, but it's really important, particularly with tenants in place, to make sure that we are working with licensed individuals, that you're protected in the event that something goes wrong or an accusation is made or anything like that. So making sure that you're vetting out or working with a property management company that will vet out their vendors is a big deal. The other thing to keep in mind with the maintenance, this is a place that I feel like a lot of property managers gouge their owners is the idea of they work in a percentage or a fee on every work order, every maintenance expense, meaning that every time a plumber goes out of the property, the property management company is making money as well. Which, as an investor and a property manager ourselves, we don't feel good about that, right? We feel like that's part of our job to manage the property. If something does come up, we want to address it. We want to address it correctly, and then we want to have a motivation to getting the job done at the right price, not what is the most expensive way I can get this repair done, so because I get a markup on the total volume, right? Which a lot of managers work that way.
Right. And I don't want to benefit off of you having to spend money. That's totally counterproductive to our job.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons that there's such huge turnover with property management companies. And it's actually sad in some respect with a lot of investors that we connect with that have been through a lot of property management companies. It's almost like they get a property management company, they're disappointed, they move in hopes of a better experience, they experience something similar, and at some point, a lot of them sit back and say, well, I guess this is what property management's like. I've got to choose the lesser of two or three evils, right? Or I keep moving to find something better and don't find it. And so it's a huge win for us when we finally get in a relationship with someone where you can kind of tell when you're doing, we're having a meeting with them, we're like, yeah, we'll see. And then we get that call 30, 60, 90 days later, like, where have you been? Mm-hmm. Where have you guys been? This is completely different. They feel like they have a partner in place. So if you find yourself in that position where you're either self-managing and it's driving you nuts and making you want to get out of the game, if you're have switched property management companies or with the property management company you think is doing a job but not showing up as a partner, no, there is a better way out there. I mean, obviously in the Arizona market, we want to be your person. We'd love the opportunity to interview to be your partner in that scenario. And as you can see through the Savvy Investor Series, is one of our biggest things that we bring to the table for our partners is not just helping you protect the asset, but we're active investors as well. And we want to continue to grow your investments with you and look at new opportunities as well. So Asia, if we were going to wrap up our conversation right now in regards to the importance of having the right property manager, what would you tell our people?
I would definitely say that the right or wrong property manager can make or break your investment. It's crucial. Make sure you're finding a partner and not just someone who's going to send you a check every month.
Yeah, I love that. And that's exactly how we refer to our investor clients as partners. Even if we don't have an equity position in the property, they are our partners. We have a fiduciary duty to protect their assets. Enchilada Nation, this has been another episode of the series on how to increase the rate of return on your current investments. I'm hoping you took great notes. Be sure, if you want to watch the video, to go to thewholeenchilada.biz. You'll be able to see the video there for any of the screen shares that I did during the conversation. And don't forget to go follow us on social media at The Whole Enchilada. And we're thankful that you're here, and go live life on your terms.